Whenever it's announced that a popular book will be adapted into a film, people hope not just that it'll be good on its own merits, but whether it'll be faithful to the source material. But what does it mean for an adaptation to be faithful? I think The Hunger Games: Catching Fire can be held up as a model. It succeeds not by slavishly sticking to the book scene for scene, but by making a few thoughtful changes that give the adaptation its own identity. The first one was well adapted too, but mostly because it sticks so closely to the book, outside of some trivial differences. And that's no fun to talk about. So for this video, I went for the sequel instead. Here are just some of Catching Fire's book-to-movie changes, what they do to the story, and why they needed to be done. Let's start small. There were a couple of cosmetic changes in the actual games. In the book, the sky was pink and the cornucopia was gold. In the movie, the sky was a regular blue and the cornucopia resembled the one in the first movie, very much not gold. Going with a blue sky probably made it easier to shoot on location, because they did, without using so much green screen to make such a simple change. As for the cornucopia, it might have been slightly more cost effective to go with the same thing as the first movie for an object of such background importance. Now onto something just a little more substantial. In the book, Katniss notes that President Snow's breath smells like blood, but in the movie, we see a dribble of blood fall into his champagne flute as he takes a sip. This is effective. Films are a visual medium after all. This is the reason why, especially in animation, when a character smells something, the scent is drawn in a way that renders it more visible than it would be in real life. But in a grounded live-action movie like this one, if we lifted this scene as is from the book, we would at best see Katniss sniffing and then telling somebody that she smells something. Pretty uncinematic if you ask me. The change to something more visual was a well-decided one. The next change was a clue to there being a secret resistance. In the book, Katniss comes across Bonnie and Twill, two characters disguised in peacekeeper uniforms. This is not only an easily cuttable scene, but it helps preserve the surprise of the resistance and the still existing District 13. Speaking of the resistance, we have to talk about the Quarter Quell game maker, Plutarch Heavensbee. It's one thing to preserve or cut scenes in a book adaptation, but what about adding scenes? Adding whole interactions even. The screenplay makes the bold choice of adding Plutarch's scenes with President Snow. In the book, since we only see what Katniss sees, we only have that one scene with him and Katniss at the party, but the Snow interactions helped flesh out a character who became important to the Resistance. Plus, who doesn't want more Philip Seymour Hoffman? In the book, the competitors are sent bread during the games. The bread serves as a code for instructions about the rebellion and their planned escape from the arena. Deciphering and counting bread seems like a plot thread that's more at home in a book than a movie. The movie does away with it entirely, as it clues in the audience in on the plan in more character-driven ways. Source materials are easy or hard to adapt by their nature, and Catching Fire was, admittedly, dealt a favorable hand with a single viewpoint, twist-filled, chronological story to adapt from, one that's only just over 400 pages. But again, movies and books have different needs, and Catching Fire takes some risks, and succeeds in delivering something not just entertaining, but cinematic. Truly, a model adaptation.